Today we're going to take a look at some smartphone apps. You'll notice that I'm on an iOS device today, but a lot of these apps are exactly the same on an Android device. And so I'm hoping that as we go through some of these applications that your students are using, it may be some things that you might need to know as well as a parent or guardian. And so let's take a look at some of the Googly apps first. Now, the first one we're going to take a look at is Google Classroom, simply because students can very easily submit things from their phones through Google Classroom. And a lot of times you say, well, why would we do that instead of a Chromebook? Well, especially if it's an image, or let's say it's a written document or something that's been created and needs to be easily submitted through the application. Well, your students, first of all, will have to log in with their student's account. So you'll notice here on my screen it says Classroom, and this will open up the Google Classroom application. Now, as a parent or guardian, you won't be able to actually access this app. The student would have to have this application on their cell phone or sign into their student account on this particular application on your cell phone. I'm going to go into a class where I'm a student, and notice at the bottom of my menu here, I have Stream, Classwork, and People. So I would locate Classwork, and here is where I would be able to go straight into my assignment, and I would be able to submit whatever is necessary. So I'm going to click on an assignment here, and you'll see where it says at the bottom, Your Work. And I can click on my Up menu, and now I have an Add Attachment. So from this point, I have several options that I can use in order to add my attachment to this assignment. So you'll notice Drive, and this is going to be what we're going to be talking about next. The Google Drive application is the student's storage space, but you as a parent or guardian, you also have a Google Drive storage space if you have a Gmail account. And I suspect many of you have a Gmail account for different reasons, and so we're going to talk a little bit more about how that works and how it's a benefit to your student and how it may be a benefit to you. The majority of your students would click on the Drive icon to pull in a file that they have already created digitally. But I want you to take a notice of some of these other options. There's a camera option, a scanner option, an upload photo option, link, and then of course a create option. And now a create option is simply going to allow them to create a document straight from this particular platform. So it would be any kind of Google file straight from this platform. Okay, but just for the sake of showing you how some of these other options work, I'm going to click on Scanner. And once I allow access to my camera, I'm going to position something that I might need to scan in. Again, generally this would be used for something that was handwritten, and I'm going to click to take a picture here. And you'll notice it gives me little circles on the corners of my screen. And then, so I can adjust these as needed. Luckily, it pinpointed exactly where I wanted it. And then I would say, keep scan. And at this point, you can see it nicely flattens that scan out. And then I can click save. And now this is being attached to my assignment. And so from here, I would click Mark as done once my attachment is in place. And it may take a second or two. There's a private comment feature where students can email their teacher directly in a private message on Google Classroom if they have any questions or need to share some additional information about this particular assignment. And as you can see, my file showed up right there at the top, and then I'm able to click Turn In. Now, I'm not going to click Turn In this section today, but I just wanted to show you guys how that would work for your students. There are lots of different things that they can do on the Google Classroom application. This is the go-between between parents, students, and teachers. And so I would highly encourage you, if you're not getting those guardian summaries, maybe reach out to the teacher and ask if that's a possibility so you guys can keep track of what's going on with your student. But I do definitely want you to know that being able to submit things through the phone is a super easy way to do some of those things at home. So we mentioned Google Drive. So let's go ahead and navigate to Google Drive. So I'm going to click here on my little triangle icon, and you'll notice I'm already signed in. So again, Google Drive is the storage space. And one great thing about your students using Google Drive that is associated with their school Gmail account, that is their @lcsdstudents.org account, and they have unlimited storage here. And so this is going to be the best asset for them as far as all of the different files that they may need to create for school. And again, let me just back up because I want to remind you guys, if you have a personal Gmail, you also have a drive. And for personal drives, you have 15 gigs of storage space for any kind of file type that you need to save there. And it's very easy to share different files from the drive. So while we look at this interface, remember that applications on any kind of mobile device always look different than they do on an actual desktop or laptop. And so generally you kind of have to look around for the tools and just remember that you'll have to navigate to find things in a different way. So like if you take a look at the left hand side of the screen, you can see I call it a pancake. You click on the pancake and you have your settings and some things that might be needing to be adjusted for this particular application. Along the bottom of the screen here, you can see files is highlighted because I'm in my drive with all of the different files that I've created. And then down towards the bottom, I have some empty documents and things that have been created that are not filed away in a file folder. And so my priority feature here shows anything that I've been working on recently. And then of course I have a shared space as well. And so this is where your student is going to be able to save and create files. All right. And so I want you guys to see the little plus sign in the corner here. It's going to bring up my menu of options. So I can create a folder. I can upload a file straight into my drive from my phone, which is a great way if you have lots of images that needed to be uploaded and saved on this cloud-based saving spot. You can also use the camera to take a picture and upload it straight to your drive right from here. You'll notice I also have the option to create a Google Doc, which is simply a document just like a Microsoft Word document, anything that is a file where I would just need to create a simple text document. I have a Google Sheets option, which is a spreadsheet, and then I also have my Google Slide option as well. So it's important to remember at this point, any kind of mobile device has to have an application that is able to be edited also installed on it. For example, right now if I were to select that I needed a Google Doc. Well, if I don't have the Google Doc application installed on my device, if I were to just pull one of those Google Doc files up on my phone, I would only be able to view it. I would not be able to edit it or change it in any way. And so it's important to remember, if you are an Android user, you go to the Google Play Store. If you are an iOS user, you would navigate to the App Store, and you would have to get those applications that you need for editing purposes. So I'm going to type in Google Docs, for example. I would need the Google Docs application here in order to edit a Google Doc on my phone. If it's a Google Slideshow, I need to edit. I would need to be sure to have the Google Slides application installed as well. If any of those files that are Google files, I would need to have the application running in the background so that I would not just be able to view something in my drive or save something to my drive, but I would be able to also edit it from my phone as well. So let's look at an example. Let's imagine I'm going to click on this slideshow, something I've been building here. Well, notice right now, this particular file is a Google slide. And so it recognizes that it's a Google slide, and it's going to allow me to edit the slide. And that is because I have the Google Slides application installed on my mobile device. And so at this point, if I need to move things around and change things up, I can do all of that right here within this application. And so once I've done all my edits, I click my check mark, and my changes have been made here. And so this is super useful if you're on the go and you're running around and you're trying to work maybe from a different location. And so it can really be helpful in order to do those things from your phone. So Google Drive is definitely one of the biggest assets to being able to have that accessibility from your mobile device. In fact, there's one other thing I'd like to point out to you, because many people, not just for necessarily school-related things, but a lot of times we have to take photographs and images in order to save those, to be able to submit those for different things. And so I'd like to show you where if you install the Google Drive application, things can be saved directly to Google Drive. So let's go to our photos here, and let's imagine I need to share a photo with my teacher. I'm going to click on the little square with the up arrow in the bottom left-hand corner, and it's going to bring up all of my share options. And many of you are familiar with being able to text directly to a person right here. If you are an iOS user and you have the ability to AirDrop, that's a very easy way to drop a photo directly to a computer, say a Mac. But let's look for some other options here. A lot of people end up emailing things directly to themselves because they have the mail button, but that can kind of be an extra step. So if I scroll through here, notice my Google Drive is one of my options. For students and parents and guardians, this can be a great asset to get it in your cloud storage space and access this from anywhere, from any device. And you say, well, I have the Google Drive app installed, but it's not showing up for me here. Well, if you scroll over to more, it's going to bring up a list of options that you can turn on. And hopefully you'll find Google Drive right there as one of the accessible options, and you can select it and add it to all of those share options that are right here in the screen. Now, while we're on the topic of photos, many people have a lot of storage issues on the phone, and it becomes problematic in order to do anything that takes up any kind of storage space with a lot of files on the phone, because they have, say, storage issues. There's not enough storage, and you're paying extra for iCloud storage and things like that. And you say, well, mostly where are the storage issues being found on my phone? Well, if you navigate to your settings icon and you navigate to general, and some phones, depending on what version you're on and what type of mobile device you're on, some of these may be a little bit different. But notice here, I'm looking for my storage. It's going to show me where the majority of my storage is being used. And the majority of us would see it's right here in photos. I currently have 20 gigs being used and taken up of photos. And so notice messages as well. And I suspect many of you have the same thing. Photos and messages are probably taking up the majority of your storage. Now, if you need to get some space quickly, I would recommend just going into your messages. This would be your text messages, and you can clear those out as needed with those giant files. But I want to show you today about photos. This is one thing that you and your students have access to with a Gmail account. Here again, your students have this with their school account. And so Google Photos is an option to have cloud storage. And what that does, you can see it's right here next to my photo option. So Google Photos will sync the things from the account that you have signed into. And so the same account that I have signed into my photos on my phone, I have signed into that account with my Google Photos. When you turn on the sync, it will then pull those photos into your cloud storage. This is right there together with your Google Drive. Same account with my Google Drive. Now I'm in Google Photos, same account, and all of my photos from my phone are now being backed up right here on Google. I can access these from any device. And so let's take a look here. You can see it's currently backing up a number of items. This is the location where you would be able to sign in to the account that you would want to be synced. And this is a great way to back up all of those things, and then you can clear off some of those photos that are taking up a lot of storage on your phone. Notice another application that I currently have here, the Gmail application. And the Gmail application is this multicolored M, and definitely a lot of notifications right now for unread emails. This is a great app for your students to have on their phone, because if they're signed into their LCSD student account, they're going to get notifications when important things are happening from school. So I highly recommend you encourage them to utilize that. That way they stay connected with all the updated latest things that are coming in from the school. Same thing for you guys. If you have a personal Gmail account that you're like, hey, I think I'd really like to be able to get those notifications on my phone, go ahead and install that Gmail application and sign in to the accounts that you would like to receive those messages from. All right, let's look at another way to scan documents. You just saw how your students can scan in Google Classroom. Very easy to scan a file and upload it directly if it's something that's handwritten or hand created. And you say, well, what about me? I have a need to scan files as well and have a really good view, but I can't access Google Classroom because I'm a parent. Well, let's take a look at the Scannable application. This Scannable application that has a butterfly as the icon is a tool that I use regularly, and I think it'll be really easy for you guys to use as well on your mobile device. So I'm going to click on Scannable, and it shows me it's looking for my document. And you can see it picks up the document right there, and now it's looking for it again. But I can pull up as many files as I need. Let's pull up another file here, and it's going to be looking at my file. It scans it, and you can see that it's adding them all together down here. And I can decide if I want that or not. So I can say, oh, I didn't mean to do that. This one, I'm just going to delete that one. And now I have the two that I need. Notice I have a reorder button, but I'm just going to click save. And it's going to say, where do you want to save it? Well, right now, I just want to save it straight to my camera roll because that is going to be the location that I'd like to pull it up from. So I'm going to come to my camera roll here, and I'm going to find my scanned file. Now I can click that share button, and now here I am. I can say I need these two files to go to the place that I need them to go. So I would save them directly to my Google Drive. Now, these files scanned in as PNGs, and that means it's an image file. So if I selected my folder, selected my drive, told it where I wanted to go, and then click save here, I then click upload, and those files are now saved in my drive. And you say, well, wait a minute, I need those files to be a PDF. iOS devices have a Notes app. And so let's say I click on my Notes app here. And again, I'm on an iOS device, but Android users will be able to have a similar function. And I'm going to go into the bottom right-hand corner with the little pencil square, and that means I'm ready to take a new note. Now look at all of the different features that show up here for you. I'm going to click on my camera icon. My camera icon allows me to do video or images, but I want to scroll down to scan documents. So here I am, and I'm going to position it here and click to scan my document. It does the same thing with the corners that Google Classroom did, and it allows me to adjust those corners to be sure I have the entire page. And I'm going to click Keep Scan. Now I'm going to click Save. From here, I'm going to click in the top right-hand corner with that same Share button. Notice it is a PDF document. So it has scanned in this document as a PDF, which is different than an image file. And many different devices can read PDF. So a lot of times when you're having to upload files to different platforms, it's always going to ask you for a PDF because lots of platforms can read a PDF well, and it is not an editable file. And that's generally the type of file you want to share with someone else. And so when you use this notes feature and use the scanner feature within this platform, then it's going to scan it directly as a PDF. And so from here, I would select my folder, I would select my drive, and I would select save here and upload. And now that PDF is in my drive where I can share the file. So those of you who are thinking to yourself, I am going to install Google Drive on my phone today for my personal self so that I can see how it works and know how my student is using it. So I want to be sure you know how to share a file from Google Drive. So we're going to navigate back to the Google Drive application. I'm going to click back on one of my files here, And I'm going to click on this melted snowman, the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner. And you notice there's a Share and Export button. So I'm going to select Share and Export. And from here, I can do several different things. If I just need to copy this individually, I'm going to click Copy Link, and I'm going to send it that way. If you have a wireless printer, of course you could print straight from your phone as well, but for now, let's say I need to share this with a colleague or someone else. So I'm going to click here on the Share button. I'm going to add a person's email that I need to share this with. And I can decide at this point, do I want this person to edit this file, or do I want this person to just be able to view or comment on the file? So I'm going to select that I need this person to just view the file. I can add a message because this is going to go straight to this person's email. So I add my message here, and that's going to be the email they will see, and then I'm simply going to hit the little arrow, and that will share that file directly with that person. So Google Drive is a fantastic way to get files quickly and safely to someone else, and again, you can access these files from anywhere. Let's take a look at one more Google application that is really handy for education. It may come in handy for you as well for your student, and that is Google Keep. So I'm going to click on this little yellow light bulb icon, and this is Google Keep. Google Keep is essentially a digital space for keeping track of notes. And you can do so many things with this application, but one of the best things is you can share these notes with others and they can also add to your notes. So let me give you one just very practical example. Grocery lists. You create with a plus sign your grocery list. And then when you're ready for your note, I like to use check boxes because when it comes to my grocery list, I'm going to select that I would like a checklist option here. And so let's say I add the things that I need to my grocery list. Once I'm in the grocery store and I pull up my list, I can easily put a check mark there, and you see it crosses that off, and I know I've done that part of my list. But if you look at the little snowman, bottom right-hand corner, you can add collaborators. So how many people would you love to have this grocery list? It might be your student who can drive to the grocery store for you. It might be a spouse or another family member. And so if you add collaborators, those people will also be a part of your list. And then everyone with their Google Keep app will have access to this particular note, and you guys can work together in order to take care of the things on this list. So I keep all kinds of stuff in this space, and I can see this being super useful for your students as they're kind of keeping track of things. What are some things that I need to do? And it's just an easy way to sync across devices. Keep.google.com is available on any computer. You can sign into the same account and all of your notes are there as well. So if you're at work and you're in front of your computer, you simply log on to your Google Keep application, and then it will show up right here on the app on your phone. And you notice right here it's saved automatically in the top corner. And so now when I'm ready to access my note, I click there and I'm ready to move on. Google Calendar is another fantastic app that I would highly recommend any Google users to install on their device. If it's your student who is using this application, it's definitely great when they're using their student account because everything syncs to their Google Calendar. So let's say they have a deadline that's been put into Google Classroom and their teacher reminds them, you have an assessment and here's your homework. When she puts those dates in Google Classroom, it's going to show up on the student's Google Calendar. And for those of you who have a Gmail, the same thing works for you. Google Calendar syncs across all devices. You can access this through calendar.google.com on your desktop or laptop, and it will sync whatever events you put on that calendar. If you're signed into the same account right here on this application, you will see those events as well. So if you navigate to Google Calendar on your phone and you type in an event, so let's say we have a meeting at 8 a.m. I'm going to click done. I can even add people to my meeting if I need to. And there's my meeting. If I pull this up on my laptop or desktop in calendar.google.com, I would be able to see my meeting there as well. So this is another great cloud-based platform that can sync across devices. And it might just be your new best friend because it will keep you on track. Notice I'm on a day view because I like to have each day and my schedule pulled up in that manner. But if I click on my little pancake, the 3 lines in the top left-hand corner, I can say, what do I need to see here? I might need to see a whole week, or I might need to see the entire month. Now, this might get a little crazy on the actual phone because it is kind of small, which is again why I like my day view. But it may be that you need to see all the things happening within your week. The other thing the Pancake menu will show you is what calendars you can have syncing here. Any of their calendars that they have a need to see, they can put a check mark by, and those will show up in different colors on their calendar app. So let's take a look at your swipe menu. Now, many of you are familiar with being able to swipe down and have some tools available to you. But not too many people realize you can customize the things that are used on your swipe menu. So I have swiped down from the top right-hand corner of my screen, but depending on what type of phone you're on, you're gonna probably recognize which direction you can swipe in order to get some of your special tools that are available to you. And so some of the ones I wanna point out that may already be there: airplane mode, Bluetooth capability in the top square, Wi-Fi on or off. These are just some quick ways that you can click on and off for these menus. Most of you will have a lock that says, do you want to lock the screen in one view, or do you want to unlock it where it turns your phone in different directions? Those of you with a smart TV and you have a need to screen mirror, you have that option here on the iOS device, and then Android users also have the AirPlay capability. And so, of course, you have your flashlight that many of you are aware of, and I've got several other options on here. I definitely like to have the low battery option because when I click here, I know that my phone is not going to stay on as much as it normally does. The lights will turn off and things like that, and it'll save some of my battery. I also have a magnifier, and a magnifying glass and my large text will allow those options to really benefit me when I'm trying to see small print, or if I need to actually use the magnifier for what I'm trying to read. So let me show you how you can add and take away the tools on your swipe menu. Okay, I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to navigate to the control center. You can see, and if you're not sure how to get to these on your phone, if you go to your control center, and it will tell you right there at the top how you access your control center features. Mine is a swipe down from the top right corner. So I'm going to see what's included. Notice my list of things that are already included. But if I go down to more controls, I can add additional things from my control center. So let's say I might want my calculator there for easy access. It put it in my list at the top. My Apple TV remote, I'm going to talk about a scanner in a minute, but let's say I definitely need Shazam because sometimes I really need to know what's on the radio. So you can see I've added a few things to my control menu. So now when I swipe, you can see my additional features have been added there. And this can be really handy for you or your student when you're trying to utilize some of these things at home. Next, let's take a look at your camera. Many of you use your camera often to take fantastic pictures of your families, but let me show you the option for a QR reader. If you have any kind of QR code, if your student has any kind of QR code that they need access to, if you simply open your phone, it will read that QR code, and you'll notice there's a link that popped up at the top of my screen. When I click on that link, it's going to take me to the site or the document that the QR code is linking to. And this is just a super neat, easy feature that students, parents, guardians, everybody can benefit from using that camera icon and linking directly to the QR code scan. So hopefully that will be a benefit to you, just knowing you can use that camera icon to scan QR codes as well. One app that we encourage all students to use is the Google Chrome app. It's essentially the search browser. Many phones come with a default search on it. If you're an Android user, your default search is most likely Google Chrome. If you're an iOS user, your default browser is Safari. And so, and of course you can search different things, but when it comes to syncing across platforms, a lot of things you can sync all of what is on an account, say on your laptop. So for students, that would be on their Chromebooks. They use the same sign-in, their school account, on the Chrome application on their phone, and they can sync all of their data. Things like bookmarks and things that are important for school and all of that, they can sign into their account, and that's one of the great things, is to be able to access some of those options. And if you look at the melted snowman in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see those options when using the browser. And so let's say, if I'm going to need my recent tabs, well, the things I was working on my Chromebook, if I click recent tabs, it's going to pull those up right here within the browser for me to access. And I can keep right on working alongside of, if I have to be in motion and I can't be right in front of my computer at the moment. I can have my downloads here. I'm going to select bookmarks so you can see here's my bookmark bar. And this can be super helpful because if your students are using their bookmark bar within their Chrome account, they can simply navigate to that particular site very quickly without having to search it. So there's a lot of benefits to using the Chrome browser on a mobile device as well. And so I would encourage you to use some of these same features if you are having to search things on your phone, because syncing across multiple devices can be really beneficial when you're working on the go. So let's look at one more browser. We're going to take a look at just the Google browser. Now, the reason I show you this is because there are some fun things to do within this browser. Notice I can click on the microphone. Disney World. All I did was click on the microphone. It searches exactly what I asked for, and here it is. You can see all of the search results that come up for this particular search feature. Let's try another one. Avocado.
According to...
I'm not sure if you guys heard that, but it actually read what an avocado is, and then it shows me top search results for that particular thing that I searched. So that can be super helpful when you're searching for particular things. Now let's look back at some of our other search options. Let's say I want to click right here on the Google Lens icon, and that's the one that looks like the photo icon. Look along the bottom here. What all do we have? I can search for certain things. I have text that I can take a photo of, words to copy. I have a translate button. This can be awesome in order to translate into different languages. I even have a homework button. Let's say I'm having trouble with a homework question. I can use the Google Lens to take a picture of that homework question, and it's going to help me. It's going to take me somewhere to a site that can help me understand that problem. Shopping, places, dining. I encourage you to take a look at the Google Lens option within the Google application because it has a lot of fun options for you. And one of the last and coolest things that we want to end on today is the 3D image search. So when you use this Google search icon, and let's say not everything that you type in there is going to have a 3D image, but a lot of things that your students might need to search to understand better, especially different types of animals. I've seen all kinds of scientific terminology, biology, and chemistry. There's a long list of those types of searches. And if you'll notice here, where it pulls up my overview, it tells me some information about a tiger, but look at this view in 3D. Meet a life-size Bengal tiger close up. When I click in 3D, I can view it in my space. So let's say I want it to be standing right here in front of me. It says point your phone down at an empty space and move it around. And there is my tiger standing right in front of me. I can move him around a little bit. He's kind of looking at me closely here. Oh my goodness. And this can really bring some things to life for your students and for them to be able to just get a little better connected with things that they may not quite understand. So those are just a few applications that can be handy at home, handy for you, and handy for your student.